We're going to have a call to order. The roll call, please. Here. 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 We're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah, so right now is our introduction of guests. We obviously have our entire administrative team, as well as some members from CREA and many parents. We appreciate you being here this evening. Normally we do public participation a little bit later in the meeting. However, I know we have some people who would definitely want to speak and share out. So I think we're going to move that up to the beginning, and I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Petropoulos.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. I just want to kind of go over a couple things about public participation. There's only 3 people signed up, so we don't have to limit the time frame, but the Board of Education obviously welcomes comments from public citizens who wish to address the board. Anyone wishing to do so is asked to sign in. I see that people have already signed in, so they can be called up in an orderly fashion. Once you're called, identify yourself and by name, and if you're speaking for yourself or a group, just please let us know. Essentially, if there was a lot of people, we would have kind of edited the number of time, but since there's not, everyone can have what is the approved 5 minutes to speak. At the conclusion of time, Mrs. Bialachek will designate this by saying time. And then as I call an individual up, I'll also let the person know who's on deck, but there's only 3 people, so it's not a lengthy list to go through, so that the person who's up next has a little bit of time prepared what they're going to say. Issues raised in the public comment time will be taken under advisement by the Board of Education, but not discussed in a back and forth kind of debate. Dr. Thorns or another administrator will reach out to you if the issues that you have addressed have not been covered individually post-meeting or sometime this week.
The people I have signed up are Maureen,
Kim Kavanaugh and Jennifer Fields. So Marlene, if you want to come up and take the floor.
Superintendent Thorns, board, guests, thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Marlene Thoma, and I have 1 student in the school, one that's recently graduated, and me and my 4 siblings are alumni. I'd like to start with a belated thank you for the opportunity to apply for the board position that was open recently. And even though I didn't get it, I still thank you. I know it's not easy to be sitting in your positions right now, and I don't envy the decisions you have to make and the stress and the strain the government has put on all the schools, but you were elected by we the people, and we the people do not feel you have heard us and that you are doing what is best for the kids. You state the ruling by Judge Grishow of Sangamon County does not apply to us, but indeed it does, without being plaintiffs or for the judge to not have made it a class action. But she did leave it open to us to do just that. If you read it, she states clearly throughout where all the laws and statutes have been averted, manipulated, and used by the governor, the IDPH, the ISBE, and the school boards where they have not allowed due process. The final page made null and void anything the defendants tried to change to make it seem they had the power to do as they did. That would seem to make it effective for everyone in the state, not just the plaintiffs. You were given mandates and guidance, but none of you had the final authority to impose any of them without our consent. All state and federal laws still protect our rights to consent for medical interventions with masks are. How many visits to the school did the ISBE, the IDPH, or the CDC make last year to ensure you're following these draconian guidelines? How much money will the school lose if we don't enforce these guidelines? How many of you sit at your desks all 8 hours you are in this building? Do you take the masks off while you're in your office? While the kids barely get to take them off for lunch? You have been elected to do the will of the people, not the will of the tyrannical government. All these measures are given under an EUA. That means consent must be given. I never gave my consent willfully. I actually chose to keep my child home last year for most of the year so she would not be subjected to breathing her carbon dioxide, which is not healthy for anyone. I myself have a medical exemption, which was one of the guidelines. Anyone under 2 or those with medical exemptions didn't have to wear masks. It also was supposed to be mask needed if you could not keep a 6 feet distance. I'm pretty sure most of our desks are all 6 feet apart. The forever changing rules should have been questioned, not just followed. When is enough enough? When do our kids get to be kids and not the pawns in the political tyranny? You say it's for the health and the safety of the kids. Their mental health is at stake. Their future health is at stake by keeping them locked down and masked. And I won't even go to participating in activities with masks on. Their immune systems never had more than a 0.002% risk factor for this virus. When do we use common sense and truly trust the science of thousands of doctors trying to share the truth? Science has never settled and continues to evolve. This has been going on for over 2 years. It's time to get out of fear and live. God gave us the tools and the immune systems for just this type of thing. Masks do not work. If they did, numbers would show it, and they do not because viruses run their course and get weaker as they progress, not because anyone's wearing a mask. You stated everyone has different opinions on the masks, and that is why we ask you give us the choice and make our district mask optional. Thank you.
And for the other, obviously, Mr. Becker wanted the mic on, so I feel like some people can hear it. Yeah, so just so that everyone has the opportunity to hear what people here say. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to start out by saying thank you for letting me speak. And I also wanted to, I have a lot to say, but I tried to shorten it up. So if you guys could bear with me. The one thing, this pandemic has been hard on everybody. Everybody's lost somebody, somebody's sick. I'm here tonight to ask for masks to be optional. So this way the parents that want the mask have the choice to mask, and the ones that don't have to. With this pandemic, as hard as it's been, I've been in healthcare for over 25 years. I've worked the COVID unit since day one. I still continue to work the COVID unit. So I know what's going on. The fighting that goes on between people it's been crazy. Us parents, we get frustrated, you know, so here we are at the board meeting, and sometimes our words might cross, but you guys here have been elected to hear us, to listen to us. But sometimes it's hard because of the politics to get involved with this. A lot of these laws that were set in place to help protect our kids, they're being broken by continuing of wearing this mask. I'm not sure how many parents in our school district know that our school alone received a little over $8 million. 20 ILCS Section C states that no person in the state of Illinois may be ordered to quarantine or be isolated, except under 2 conditions: the consent of a parent to a court order, not an email from the school nurse. Schools cannot exclude children from in-person learning. So by quarantining them, you're hurting them. The judge's ruling on February 4th puts a halt to the governor and his overreach once again. Even though we're not named in the lawsuit, there's no law that says my child has to wear a mask, only a recommendation or a mandate. And we should know by now that a mandate is not a law. Everyone through the entire United States, we complied. 2 weeks to flatten the curve. Here we are, almost 3 years later. Is anyone thinking to themselves, at what point for kids, when is enough for these masks? They don't know us. They don't know facial recognition anymore. When you tell the kid it's okay to take off your mask, they freak out. Well, someone's going to yell at me. Kids should not feel that way. We're supposed to be guiding them in what's okay. This pandemic is here to stay. It's here, the virus. It's never going to go away. It is cold and flu season. We all get sick. But the best thing we can encourage our kids since day one, wash your hands, cover your mouth. As a licensed professional, I make the health decisions for my kid. Nobody else. I'm not co-parenting with the school board. I'm not co-parenting with JB Pritzker, IDPH, none of them. As board members, you guys have the authority to make this end tonight. Make the mask optional. Can you show me the law that your lawyer grants you the authority to mask my child, quarantine my child? Can you provide the study of mask, how, when they're worn in school, that it stops the virus? It doesn't. There is no science on that. Can the board and the superintendent please provide me their medical license? I can show you mine. Who made the decision to keep the mask? Was it the board or was it Dr. Thorne's? You guys have the power tonight to vote to what is best for our kids. Us parents voted you in that position, the seat that you're sitting in. We want you to hear us. There's over 250 plus schools, districts that went mask optional. These schools were not in the lawsuit. They chose to do the right thing. Optional works best for those that want it and those that don't. And that's okay, because having a choice is what America is about. Now, is the board, this is now the board's chance to prove that you hear us, you understand us parents, so prove it that you're listening to us. The social and emotional toll that continues with these COVID-19 protocols have been proven to be more toxic than the COVID-19 virus itself. Yes, the science and the studies are there to prove it. The email that was sent out tonight, I personally was a little upset by it for the fact that you said that you had to follow the executive orders. His executive orders were stopped. Was that email yours solely to the concern of the parents, or was that email a generalized email from the school union, the teachers union? Is it the money we're following, or is it about the kids? After close to 3 years, you kind of got the parents thinking, okay, what's in the best interest? I'm asking the school board to stand up, make a decision, make the mask optional. This way everybody has a choice. You have the power to do that tonight. Thank you. Thank you. And then last is
I'm Jennifer Fields. Last but not least, my child is currently at home being denied her education because she chooses not to wear a mask. She's essentially being punished for exercising her rights. You all know it. She's the only child sitting at home. Unfair, unlawfully. A judge ruled a governor's overused mask mandates were null and void. The district decided not to follow that judge's rulings. Why? Why? We live in America. We have rights. We have rights that have to be followed. It's my understanding that the board throws all the decisions back to the superintendent. And it is not fair to the people who voted you guys on the board to represent us. It's not fair to us. I'm asking the board to hold an emergency meeting to vote on this unlawful mask mandate that makes masks optional ASAP, so my child can come back to school. I'm in a different situation than everybody else. I'm homeschooling while you collect my tax dollars. How would any of you like to be in those shoes? Does anybody want to keep their child home segregated? I thought that ended in 1960. We're segregating kids now? Many schools have chosen wisely to offer masks optional. Our children deserve better, and the board needs to do better today.
Thanks everyone for speaking and pointing out over some things that we do appreciate.
And I want to thank everyone for coming out. I know for a lot of people, it is not a comfortable thing to come up and speak in front of a group, especially when it's being live streamed to a lot of people. So I do appreciate you coming in and sharing that. Just wanted to kind of give the general sense. Again, sent the email out today talking about the footnote is a question that we get all the time. The attorney, and I've talked to multiple attorneys groups that have consistently said that there are so many interpretations and loopholes in the ruling that was sent out. And that is why we have decided to continue to wait to see how this appeals process goes. We are not picking a side right now. We are trying to see how this process goes to determine what in the appeals process is going to happen for all schools. Because the one thing that the attorneys do agree upon is whatever the appeals decision is going to impact a much broader sense of the school districts, not just the 146 that are in there. We are not the only ones in the area who have gone that way. Out of the 66 schools in South Cook, 84% of them have stayed with the mask mandate at this point. And 7 of those who have changed those were in the lawsuits. I believe there's 4 or 5 districts who have gone that other route. So I wanted to just kind of share those with everyone. And I want to share my frustration, as I know I hear a lot of people. We see today different states coming up with different plans of when they're going to do this and loosen up on mitigation strategies. And if you heard today, the governor said, well, I think it was wait and see, or it's coming soon. I think that's our frustration. And that's the thing that I continue to advocate in my superintendent's groups with Springfield, is that regardless of how this court case goes, we need to know when the off ramp is for this. No matter what your beliefs are with mask, unmasked, we need to understand what mitigations you expect us to look at and to decide so that we can make that decision. And we have not been getting any of that. And that has been extremely frustrating for us. So we will continue to advocate for that no matter what the outcome of the court case is. As I said in the email also, it did go to the appeals court. We expect to hear a decision no later than 2 weeks, if not sooner. And at that time, I know we will be really looking at what we're going to do as a school district. So I wanted to just share that out with everyone here. So, any questions from the board for me?
Okay, so we are moving on to the approval of the consent agenda 2.0. Looking for a motion to approve the consent agenda, the
I'll make
minutes.
the motion.
I'll second it.
Mr. Milkowski. Mrs. Lebudzik.
Aye.
Ms. Joy. Mrs. Lammle.
Aye.
Mrs. Grove.
Aye.
And Mrs. Petropoulos.
Aye. Keep moving myself. All right, moving on to 3.0, that would be the superintendent's report, but I don't know if what you just did is considered that, or if you have more to let us know.
I have
Quite a bit more.
other topics,
Okay.
yes.
Other topics besides that, quite a bit more. Okay.
First thing we have is the PTA report. We have our next meeting of the PTA on March 1st. It's going to be at 6:30 at Ridge Central. Then some of my favorite times is if you come to our board meetings before, our dine and donate days. This is going to be on February 16th at Portillo's. And then finally, February 25th, we are going to have a movie night, 6:30 over at Ridge Central. I do know there's going to be a sign up ahead of time. Do we know what movie yet, or was that to be determined? Okay, all right, sounds good. 3.2, our enrollment report. Currently, we have 1,457 students, which is the exact same number of students we had last month, and we are up 29 students from this time last year. 3.3, our vacant positions and possible staffing needs. We're still looking for a librarian for over at Ridge Lawn. We did go ahead and post in many different places through colleges who are graduating. Those of you who have ever worked with the library know the Rails system is a big thing. So we posted in there to try to find some positions. We are also next year looking for a reading specialist at Finley. Our reading specialist is retiring, and a STEM teacher at Lawn because our STEM teacher over there is retiring as well. That kind of leads us right into 3.4, which is the third annual SSHRA job fair. The majority of this job fair, again, is virtual, where candidates can sign in and upload their resume and videos for us. And we have really tried, the administrative team, to get out to job fairs. We hear all the time about the teacher shortage and really trying to make sure we get our name out there. And we have found between that and really trying to get student teachers to work in our district, that those tend to be some of our best ways of bringing quality candidates in. So this will be the third year in a row that we are participating in that. 3.5, potential calendar change for the school year 21-22. So that is this school year. Remember, a couple years ago, we began giving a non-attendance day when Eid fell during the week because our attendance numbers were like at 38% across the district. And we had staff, we had students who were not here, and just a way to honor those in our community. And this year, we had it originally on the calendar May 3rd. There was a little miscommunication, which was on a Tuesday, and it's actually going to be on Monday the 2nd, which I think works out for everyone, whether you celebrate Eid or not. Now you have a 3-day weekend instead of a weekend. Come Monday and have Tuesday off. So I would be recommending that change later today. The other part you'll see in there is 3.6, board discussion on the school calendar for the 22-23 school year. 218 just approved their calendar at their the last week of January board meeting. And so we were given that, and we always try to line up spring break. The start of the school year does not usually line up. The high school starts very, very early, almost every single year. And what you'll see in there are two different drafts that are really very, very similar outside of the starting and end date. One of the calendars has us starting a little bit earlier, which is on the first student day would be on August 18th, which is actually fairly typical of where we've been over the last 4 years, minus this year, where the other one has us starting on August 25th. And then on the earlier calendar date, our last day would be Friday, June 2nd. And on the later start date, it would be Friday, June 9th. The other part that I really want to point out is a couple things. Election Day on the 8th is now a holiday. We are not allowed to hold a teacher institute. Anything else, you can't have anything on that day. So that's a random Tuesday. The other date is on Tuesday, April 4th. That is more of a local election. We will also need to be off in some way. There has been talk whether or not you can use an e-learning day with teaching. We are not sure. The Springfield, some have said yes, some have said no. We're waiting for clarification on that. So right now that is a day off. But if you look at that week, it's a very odd week. You're off for spring break the whole last week of March. You come back to school on a Monday, and then you're off on that Tuesday for election day. You go to school Wednesday and Thursday, and then you have to be off again on Friday for Good Friday. So we're trying to see if there's any wiggle room for that Tuesday date, so the week is not so chopped up, because we know that's not good for the learning. So, so right now we're going to, CREA was just provided these today, and they'll talk to their membership to get some feedback on what they believe, and the board will be asked to vote on a calendar at the next meeting. So, any questions on the calendar?
I mean, is the spring break week locked in?
So, yeah, so
I just feel like if there's already 2 days off in that other week, you know, and then,
yeah,
I mean, I don't think any parent wants their kid being in school. I just feel like that's far into the summer.
yeah, and what we really try to do with the spring break is line up with 218.
Okay.
And I did reach out to 218, both Dr. Harding and Dr. Barron, their new name superintendent, to see, like, I know you're in about the same boat as wiggle room, and it had something to do with the SAT.
Okay.
So they were unable to change it. So,
When did election day become a holiday?
This year was the first year.
Okay.
Yeah. That's in Illinois.
Yeah, just in Illinois.
Yep. 3.7 is something I'm very excited about. All of our students came home with their one book on Friday. And we're actually doing two separate books. We have one at the elementary and one at the junior high this year. The elementary is reading Toys Go Out, and the junior high is Toys, Amazing Stories Behind Some Great Inventions. And for those parents who don't necessarily have the time to read with their kids every single night, depending on their schedules, or maybe the language is a barrier, there are videos provided, and that website was sent out. I appreciate all of our staff, our board members who read for that. I think that was a really, really nice thing that we were able to provide. So hopefully we'll have a good time as a district with that. 3.8 NWA map testing. We are just finishing our makeups for that. It began all the way back on January 10th, and we're trying to finish makeups. We believe we'll be able to close those testing sessions this week, and then I will provide the board with an update of kind of where we're seeing that growth for our students in reading and math. And then 3.9 COVID case update. Anyone who gets my emails that I send all the time, like positive case here, positive case there, you will notice we have had a huge drop in COVID cases, both with students and overall with staff. Also with the number of students who are in quarantine, that number has dropped dramatically. And it was kind of just, it was rising, plateaued for a couple of weeks pretty high, and then just the bottom fell out. And that really goes along with, if you look at where our the positivity rate, it was in Chicago Ridge probably about 3-4 weeks ago, it was at like 22.5%. It's down to like 4.8 now. So we have definitely seen it go in that direction. So I just wanted to update the board on where we were at this time. And finally, you'll see 3.10, the yearly rate change for Robin Schwartz. It's about $5 to $10 more an hour, which is a 3.6% increase, which when you look at inflation right now of 7%, I think that's pretty reasonable. So, any questions for me on my superintendent's report? All right, we can turn it over to Kathy for her CSBO report.
Okay, good evening, everyone. The first thing I wanted to talk about was the capital project update. And last week we opened the bids for the site improvement work that will be completed over the summer of this year. And of the 7 bidders of record, we actually had 3 bidders submit proposal. And the lowest responsible bidder was Matthew Paving for $269,865. And in your board packet, you will see the bid sheet showing all 3 bidders and the letter of recommendation from Studio GC requesting us moving forward with that project. The next thing is, this is the time of year we talk about school fees for the following year. And currently our rates for the elementary school is $120 per student. And for Finley Junior High, it's $130. We would be recommending those rates to stay the same for this year. And we also would like the board to consider what we call early enrollment. That gives the families a significant discount if they register during that window that's held earlier. And those rates are $90 and $100. So we'd be asking the board later to approve those rates. Any questions or comments on that? Okay, and then also our annual milk contract renewal. We have used Clover for several years now. And quite honestly, their increase rates are usually 1/2 cent per half pound of milk. And actually this year it was 2%. It was almost 10%. So I reached out to the gentleman that we always work with, and he was very honest, and he said his supplier is increasing it 1.5 cents per half pint. And then he compounded that with the labor shortage and the fuel charges. So even though 2 cents is almost a 10% increase, I do recommend sticking with them. They provide fabulous service. Approximately 10% would be about $7,000 a year, which I know is a lot of money, but I still think it's a fair price for milk. And then the next thing is every year, the South Suburban School Business Official Group, which is what I am a part of for the business managers on the South Side, they offer what they call mini grants. And this year they offered 4 mini grants to any teacher in the group that wanted to submit a proposal. And we actually had one of the winners this year, Mr. Albert Johnson, a computer skills teacher over at Finley Junior High, won the grant for $2,300. It was for 2 3D printers and some printing supplies. And then we actually had 2 additional teachers, both from Ridge Central, who submitted proposals as well. We had Julie Baker, who submitted a project she called Kiss the Ground that had to do with agriculture and growing. And then we had a team effort from Brian Girk and Jordan Sparakis, both teachers at Ridge Central, and they proposed a bowling fund for everyone. And we can only submit one for, to be nominated. But as a district, we really felt that these teachers went above and beyond to put these proposals together. And they really sound like awesome projects for our kids. So we're going to go ahead and fund those as well. And each of those are about $800. So really a hats off to all 4 of those teachers that went above and beyond to get something new for our students. And then finally, as anticipated, the district was not awarded the 2022 property tax relief grant, which actually means our tax rate is lower than our neighbors. We always want grant money, but in this case, we were so low on the list, we did not get that, and that was anticipated. Any questions on any of that?
Jenny, will the payments that you spoke about, is that beginning in the summer?
Yes, that will be in the summer.
And how long will that be?
Correct. The anticipated completion is going to be early August.
To new business 6.0.
Yes, the only thing I want to change in 6.1, we are looking to change the, normally our study session is February 22nd. We would like to adjust 1 week longer to March 1st and make that a special session. So we're looking for a motion to change the February 22nd study session to a special board meeting to be held on March 1st.
I'll make the motion.
Mrs. Grove,
Aye.
Mrs. Lebudzick,
Aye.
Mrs. Lammle. Aye. Mr. Milkowski.
Aye.
Ms. Joy
Hi.
and Mrs. Petropoulos.
6.2, potential board action to approve the contract with Matthew Paving in the amount of $269,865 for site improvements. Looking
I'll
for a
make the motion.
Mrs. Lebudzick,
Aye.
Mr. Milkowski. Ms. Joy, Mrs. Grove,
Aye.
Mrs. Lammle, and Mrs. Petropoulos.
Aye. Moving on to 6.3, potential board action to approve Clover Leaf Farms and their contract renewal for milk.
Ms. Joy, Mrs. Lammle, Mrs. Lebudzick,
Aye.
Mrs. Grove,
Aye.
Mr. Milkowski, and Mrs. Petropoulos.
Aye. Moving down to 6.4, which is the potential board action to approve the school fees for the school year of 22-23. There'll be no change. So K through 5 is 120, and then 6 through 8 is 130. Looking for a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Mrs. Lammle. Mr. Milkowski. Ms. Joy. Mrs. Lebudzick,
Aye.
Mrs. Grove,
Aye.
and Mrs. Petropoulos.
Aye. And then 6.5 is a potential board action to approve Monday, May 2nd as a non-attendance day and to make Tuesday, May 3rd a regular attendance day.
I'll make the motion. A second.
Mr. Milkowski. Mrs. Lammle. Mrs. Grove.
Aye.
Ms. Joy. Mrs. Ledzik.
Aye.
Mrs. Petropoulos.
Aye. 7.0 meeting reports. There's nothing. 7.1 other. 8.0 informational. Nothing. 8.1 other. Okay, and we had already moved 9.0 to the beginning, which was the opportunity for visitors to speak. 10.0 is called President's Prerogative, and as most people know, I am not actually the president of the school board. I am the vice president. Nancy Salazar is the president. But I would be 100% remiss if I didn't say something to all the people in here. I mean, it's clearly that you can cut the tension with a knife in the room still. We haven't come to any type of decision, and we're not giving you the answers that I think that you want right now, but that doesn't mean that it's a closed door. And I know that I could speak for everyone that we have all heard what you have said. This is a community decision. There are a lot of stakeholders involved, not just the people who were here tonight and who spoke, but there are teachers. There are other parents who have varying opinions, but this is something that is, I know, paramount on all of our minds as we have been thinking about it Sunday night, yesterday, all day. It is something that we are seeing all over the place. I have talked to a lot of parents personally. I definitely have been following what's going on in social media, as everyone else. I have been a teacher for 20 years, and we all know that we want what's best for the kids. I think that no one can disagree on that. I think the disagreement is what is best for the kids right now and where we stand. It's not a closed door right now. And hearing what everyone had to say, I'm sure that we all are taking it in and thinking about it and thinking about what's best for all stakeholders involved. I just want to say I appreciate everyone coming out. I appreciate everyone voicing their opinions. And I hope that people understand that this is not something that is taken lightly. That is something that's going to be copiously discussed, and hopefully we can come to a place where we're all doing what is best for everyone. I love what someone said, the best thing we can all do is wash our hands and cough in our elbows. And I still think that's probably the best piece of evidence in the world. And hopefully, I know how much of communication is nonverbal, how a smile can change a kid's day, how, that facial expression. So as an educator and as board members and as parents, we all know that these things are important. So I just hope that everyone understands that this is not a closed door. We are thinking about it. We are planning on talking about it. And it is definitely something that is not ending right now. And hopefully we can get it all sussed out and come up with a good plan. So I appreciate everyone's comments and everything. All right. So we are going to adjourn the closed session. And that is 11.0 to discuss the appointment and employment and compensation discipline.
I get to read that.
All right, you go for it. I'm done.
The discussion of the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the public body or legal counsel for the public body, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee of the public body or against legal counsel for the public body to determine its validity. However, a meeting to consider an increase in compensation to a specific employee of a public body that is subject to the Local Government Wage Increase Transparency Act may not be closed and shall be open to the public and posted and held in accordance with the act as defined in the Open Meetings Act, Section 2C1. The discussion of collective negotiating matters between the public body and its employees or the representatives, or deliberations concerning salary schedules for one or more classes of employees as described in Section 2C2. The discussion of pending or probable and imminent litigation against, affecting, or on behalf of the district as defined in Section 2C11, and the discussion of minutes of prior meetings lawfully closed under the Open Meetings Act as defined in Section 2C21 for the purpose of review, approval, or release of such minutes. We will not be discussing any student discipline or security measures during this closed session.
Okay, so we are going to go into.
We need a motion.
Aye. Aye. Aye.
Aye. Okay, so thank